Bravo 180 Bravo Bravo, good afternoon to you. Report your altitude.
2,000 feet on 1014, Bravo Bravo.
Bravo Bravo.
Hello YouTube, Wycliffe Barrett here, Explain Dedicated. Today we're having a look at the Toliss a319. I did mention this on Facebook when I did Facebook Live earlier on Monday, and I said I would have this video ready for you. So here it is, the Toliss a319. It's an unusual aircraft in so much as it is, well, when I say it's unusual, it's an Airbus. Airbus are all the same. But what we have here is the Toliss Interactive Simulation Control System. And this is a plug-in which is outside of the aircraft but in X-Plane. As you can see, we have a number of tabs here. So you've got position, situation, where you can save situations. Then you've got aircraft configuration here, which is aircraft loading and payload, and also your gross weight and CG, and you need these numbers for later on to put into your MCDU. Sorry, getting all confused there. Then the next page, you can see there the CGGW, that's your centre of gravity and gross weight parameters, so you can't be outside of those lines. As long as you're inside, you're okay, but you do need the numbers of your gross weight, etc., for later in the MCDU. Here you've got ground services, so you can have external power, high pressure air and low pressure air, and then you've got a pushback routine here, but I'm pretty sure that we would still be using better pushback. I will anyway. There's a faults service page which isn't being used. There's a spare page. Then we've got audio visual settings, so you can change a lot of the audio visual settings within the aircraft through this menu here. As you can see, sound settings, which is very useful indeed. And then on the other side of that, you've got visual settings as well, so engine types. And even though I saved my engine types for what I wanted, when I went back into the aircraft, when I reloaded it, it had changed. Even though I'd saved everything here, I chose the CFMs, and when I came back in, it had gone back to auto, so I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, there we go. Very straightforward interactive control system, and the final page is settings, actions, so just some information, joystick configuration, things that you can do with your joystick, how make sure that your settings are right, and you can alter that within there. You can turn things on and off, and then you alter your joystick settings within the X-Plane configuration tool for your joystick, depending on what joystick you've got. It's really straightforward and very, very helpful indeed. So that is slightly different to see that kind of control panel, but that is a plug-in that works in the plugins folder, so it's external of the aircraft, internal to X-Plane in the plugins feature there, and it's different, and certainly a different way of implementing things. So here's the aircraft, the external model. It's like a lot of Airbus aircraft, but it is the A319, so it's rather small. So a little dinky little thing altogether. Got the winglets on the end there, which is very nice indeed. And I love the way that the fuselage blends and bends around the midsection there, where you've got all the undercarriage, the gear housing, etc. PBR rendering right across this aircraft. You can see the reflection there. We keep saying PBR rendering when PBR stands for particle base rendering. So once again, I'm pulling up the interactive control system here because I just want to turn on my external power and high pressure air. Now, even though it's an Airbus, I found there was a couple of quirky things, and I went through the usual startup procedure, which is more or less, if you've got a light on, then that thing is off, so you need to turn it so the lights are all off apart from available ground power and APU. And as I say, it was a little bit quirky in places, and I found it a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for, not cumbersome, that's the wrong word, but quirky, things like the ADARU. Okay, you can, in the configuration tool, you can set your ADARU so that it can start. It takes 10 minutes to align, or 5 minutes to align, or immediate alignment. I set it to immediate alignment, but it still took forever to align. And then you've got the thing is, when you first get into the aircraft and it's cold and dark, you have to turn the brightness up on your displays, so the navigation display and the primary flight display. And whilst I could do the far left one, and I could do these on the right here, so you see me turning them up there, and you have to go both sides, I couldn't get the left-hand navigation display to turn up. And then you have to find where the click spots are for the other thing. So, and also you need to turn the brightness up on the upper and lower ECAM, and you do that right by the config panel there, where you've got your takeoff config button as well. And it just, you know, whereas in the past, I've flown this aircraft 3-4 times now, but I've actually messed around in the cockpit more than that, and I've only had it just over 24 hours, if that. Okay, so you know, because it's an Airbus, and you know, you go from one Airbus to another, and they're all the same. Then there's lots about it, but you know, as you can see here, I'm having trouble trying to turn up the brightness on the upper and lower ECAM, and also on the the navigation display on the left hand side. Still, see, I've got the navigation display opened up there on the bottom left, still can't get it to turn up. And then I decided to have a fiddle with the systems panel on the lower ECAM, because I'd got those lit up, and still I was struggling. And then finally, after ages of struggling, I managed to turn the brightness up, and basically it was finding the right click spot. And I, even though I'd done it several times previously, and all you do is you put your mouse on the screen itself, and you just click on the screen, and it just wouldn't do it. It did it for everything else, but for that one it wouldn't do it, and it took ages. Anyway, here I am in the MCDU, and I'm just clicking through to find a flight plan, because you can load X-plane flight plans, and I found one here, and I thought, right, let's, instead of doing it manually, let's just load one in. And I think this was from Cardiff up to Edinburgh, excuse me. And I just wanted to make sure that I was getting it, you know, getting the right plan, and I went through that, and you know, it's straightforward. One thing that I dislike about the aircraft at the moment, and this is the sound of those buttons. It became so monotonous hearing that sound, because there was no difference on any of them. Hear it? Clunk, clunk, and it just became very, very monotonous hearing that sound. So whether that sound is going to be changed in the final release, so it's different sounds or a different tone, I don't know. I just found it really irritating after doing it for quite some time. And not only that, but it's the same sound in other areas of the aircraft as well. So I found that irritating after a while. That's the only phrase, the only word I can come up with. But as you can see, looking at the cockpit, that now I think this was something like mid-afternoon, around about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the time in the aircraft, and you've got, you know, the cockpit is that really nice blue that I was talking about when I did the Facebook Live earlier on Monday afternoon. So yeah, all's well here. We're getting there slowly but surely. The MCDU is very much like all MCDUs in an Airbus, so there's no problems there. Although trying to get the block fuel numbers in, I found that a little bit difficult, a bit quirky. There's that word again, a little bit quirky. And of course, what you need to do is you need to go into the Toliss interactive simulation control system, get those numbers from there, and then transpose those numbers over into the MCDU. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't, for some reason. It just wasn't working for me. And then eventually, how, I don't know, but the everything was working. In fact, so much so that I was able to depart the aircraft, but I couldn't get back to the block fuel page. So somehow the block fuel numbers have been exported over into the MCDU, but I don't even know how it happened. So and I suspect it might be end user you know, that I might be at fault there rather than the aircraft. So it's something for me to have a look at. I need to get to grips with that and try and figure out what's going on. But this is just a first impressions video, okay? So my first impressions are, hang on.
Headsets in the seat pocket in front of you. We'll give you a little more information about our service plan for our flights as soon as we're in the air.
Right, so what I was trying to say was that I think a lot of it was end user fault, so I need to get used to it, figure out a couple of things. But my first impression of this aircraft is that it is a treat. The QPAC fly-by-wire system that's been implemented is absolutely wonderful. You know, you just pull that stick back, get 15 degrees of climb, let go of your stick, the aircraft will stay there. It's rock solid on a flight plan, no problems whatsoever. It will hold a flight plan. You see it on the green line with no issues whatsoever. You can see I'm doing the Brecon 1 Alpha departure here. It's on the green line. It's perfect. Very, very stable aircraft, like all Airbus, we have to say. All Airbus, if they're implemented correctly, then they're very stable aircraft to fly. Of course, you've got all the different laws which can, you know, catch you unawares, especially if you try to fly the aircraft. I saw a very nice joke earlier on today where it says Airbus fly the pilots and Boeing the pilot flies the plane. So that may well be true.
This aircraft is also equipped with Wi-Fi. Please see a flight attendant for more information.
There you can see the weather and radar on the plan display there, which is very nice. It looks very good indeed. Look at the colour of the cockpit, and as I change to night here and we have a look at some of the night lighting, superb, really, really good. Now, I don't know how much this aircraft costs. This is beta, so some of that quirkiness that I was talking about may well disappear, but some of that quirkiness I'm going to put down to pilot error, my error. I think this is a beautiful aircraft. If you haven't got an Airbus and you want a small one, then get this one. If you've got a large Airbus fleet, maybe you want to, you've been looking for an A319 for quite some time, then this is the one for you to get. I think it's lovely. I highly recommend it. I think Toliss have done a brilliant job. As I say, this is my first impression of it. My first impression is excellent. As always, this is Wycliffe Barrett. We'll see you very soon. You all take care now. Cheerio.